Welcome to my lovely HP community and the 5D Collective. And to those of you who are new, our 5D Collective is made of mystics and mindfully living and loving people. Mystics live mindfully and love mindfully and spiritually. And we are our true selves, okay? So we are a sense of self that's owned, and that's why no one can affect us. So your inner child parts are yours, and you're a person who has secure attachment, or you're getting it. So let me read, and that's why mindfulness, mindsight, and mindset practices support you to consistently use the restorative embodiment. And that's the 5D, not only Christ consciousness, forgiveness, compassion, it's also your mammalian heritage for those who will want it. Robert Sapolsky with Determined says we have no free will. I beg to differ. Dr. Daniel Siegel shares with me interpersonal neurobiology framework and PDP framework and more. The lifespan of attachment, dissociative identity disorder and disorganized attachment, consciousness and change, a bunch of courses. So this is a beautiful place to be as a mystic with attachment, trauma education, as a personal development, self-help mentor, content creator, and podcast host, and more. Again, no one affects your sense of self when you live and love mindfully, spiritually as yourself. We have a couple of episodes out if you want to tune in. And this one's focusing on owning your sense of self with the inner growth mindset, mindfulness, and mindsight skills. And really, it's a bit of this and that. And so welcome. I like to also integrate channel guidance and food for thought. And the Temple of Truth is what is coming up at this moment. So when you have a throat chakra that shares and expresses authenticity, that self-expression from an inner child adult though, okay, I'm the inner child of Maria because I got lucky. I'm born with a twin, and so my implicit memory doesn't know aloneness. My imagination is all gooey ooey because I have the capacity to have accompanied my day-to-day with a beloved. And that's why I don't have any bad, yucky imagination, okay? And the essence of the jaguar, which is the empowered feminine that I am, is here. And you can also be the empowered feminine of your own, which is actually the capacity for anybody to be able to listen to love, consider the voice of someone, your own, right? You want to start with that mindset, but if you can't do it with your own self, then you consider it with someone who you love and imagine them telling you words of encouragement. Alternatively, find a song that's empowering and positive to listen to. Do this on a regular basis to strengthen feelings of love. This is for dissociation, the clinical type, and it's borderline personality disorder, Dr. Daniel Fox's cards. So for me, for example, I just need to listen to love from God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, my mom, my own self. So again, it's not hard when you have a subconscious. My subconscious is a whole 3-year-old heart, so she's not separated and she doesn't know any kind of terror. No, my soul never lost itself. So the people who get earned secure attachment and begin to navigate neutrality and duality with thoughts, begin to allow thoughts and emotions to be easy, life to be easy, not hard. So you're moving towards that wholeness, okay? So as you become your own empowered feminine and masculine, which is why this sun, actually embraces both masculine and feminine, although sometimes we know that the feminine is the moon. Now those cards come from this lovely oracle deck. We're going to use more. Some of them I don't have the book with me, but it's like another one is a shaman. No, the dreams catcher, I forget. But if you're curious, just write me and I'll make sure to get it to you. The curse. Nobody's cursed. There's no human curse. There's no suffering curse because we know how to use our prefrontal cortex. That's why the Zen master doesn't know how to do it, but those of us who are of the 5D collective do. We do bilateral and vertical integration overall. So again, the wisdom of the owl. And the giveaway is I get to be my true self and you get to be your true self. And so with that, anyone who closes out that which is yesterday's news, karma, is now doing Dharma. Why? Because the circle of life. When you have bilateral, vertical, and overall integration, you're able to access your mammalian heritage. It's called your humanity. As you overflow in it, that's why no one affects your sense of self, because you also own it though. Okay, so you make sense of your childhood story, you become reparented, and people like Patrick Tiahan are great for information on that note. And one of his recent posts, healed hypervigilance looks like open-hearted spontaneity. And I love how he informs his community about his story, and then I'm going to read just a little bit of it, also parts where he shares how good therapy helped him with the community. And he says, we gradually felt safe with each other and the therapist in his sessions. We needed to spend time bringing up the trauma and hypervigilance and have the opposite of what we experience in childhood happen. So it's very important for all people that are healthy adults to know how important our capacity to be anchored in ventral will be for those who welcome their true self. So they welcome disowned parts, and then they welcome living a life of meaning, connection beyond the soul self. And so as long as a person's welcoming all their parts and stays open-hearted, you'll know, because they'll be a healthy self-worth adult too. So they'll have self-awareness, accountability, regulation. Whether they are a person who admits to having had childhood trauma or not, but they care about their human hurt, okay? So they're caring about living a good, harmonious, fun life with each other. That's for those who don't choose. But the reality is Patrick Tiahan and all the good therapists are really great for the people who choose to be their true self, and that's an honor as always. So once you take ownership of your own body with your embodied brain, you become empowered masculine, empowered feminine, which is why you then will be open to true love. And that's because you know true love, because you chose true love. You didn't choose fear. You didn't choose to keep hiding yourself. We gradually feel safe with each other and the therapist. We needed to spend time bringing up the trauma and hypervigilance and have the opposite of what we experience in childhood happen. That it's okay to be seen, because in childhood you were not seen. That it's safe to be you, because as a child, no, you were defective. Something inside you is like, there's a reason, and that's from your 0-1-year-old and your first 3 years of life, the implicit memory. So I'm gonna always try to make it better. That's what the childhood trauma survivor, that's why they allow themselves to be treated like little pieces of shit, the men and the women and all the things that they do. Yeah, it's not really fascinating at all. Fancy man and women suit that I make fun of, continue that, but there's plenty of men and women that I see and that I talk to and engage out there, mystics and not mystics, and they are totally cool with their codependent, very unhealthy, all of it. But we leave it alone, because that's the part of where, to me, you do have free will. You can choose to stay in an adaptive child, non-bilaterally integrated brain and do your threat response. As long as you follow the laws, those of us who are healthy will not be hanging out. No, we'll hang out with people, but we won't be in any facade, fake relationship where a person's projecting their unhealed stuff. So healthy self-worth, soothing, regulating, mindfully, spiritually living, loving, empowered feminines, they're all going to be this. Women and not, we know what it's like to live 24 hours and to make it worth our while. And so with that, the scientists out there, all the smart ones, are sharing no Lucifer, no demon. There's only one of two things. You got a healthy self-worth person, or you don't. And if they say you're not pilly enough, you're rude, then you know you don't got shit. You just allow yourself to apologize so that you can leave alone the teenager who doesn't know how to go on over to work with their own charge and to become a person who can be empowered. As bilaterally, vertically, and overall integrated people with ownership of their sense of self are mentally, emotionally mature and intelligent and empowered for real. Because they're physically their true self with all their child parts asleep. So I'm talking to grown-ups personally. I'm not interested in having any of those who are facades. I have a facade friend and more. You all heard the story. So it's okay to be seen. It's safe to be you. You're going to hear why, because the facade people, they're not the real deal, FYI. So Cusco's what they are. And yeah, we can handle a little bit of Cusco. But again, we're building here a community of people who are the real deal so that we can welcome the ones who are healing that need us the most. BPD, narcissism, NPD, they need us. The personality disorder, people who are healing, who get hate mail from the ignorant people who don't believe, neuroscientists who prove there's no demon possessing anyone, Patrick McNamara, and all the scientists overall that talk to you about dissociative identity disorder and disorganized attachment. And the entire spirituality community here is going to know the responsibility of anyone who wants to even bother using the word healer is that you don't act like you're a therapist. You're not. You don't replace a therapist. You are either informed or you get informed, and I've seen them and how they don't use the information. So for me, as a Reiki practitioner, an Akashic record reader, and a tarot oracle card reader, and a channeler, and all of these, realizing all of that which trauma comes up. Yeah, you ain't doing sessions that are personal development with a person unless you're taking care of your mental health. And FYI, the ones who don't want to do it, they won't navigate towards those of us who are the real deal because they don't want it. They want the story. They like to have a story, and that's where it's spiritual ego. We're anointed. We're more special. And they've gone on and on about this, so much so that now we got a bunch of them waiting for their emperor to come bring them 12-karat gold rings. And they will. The men will do that because they're slaves of those empresses. Because the reality is, I've seen it within the spirituality ego community and the science ego community. And anytime I see any of that, I just think of, well, I like fairy tales because Disney's like great, at the end of the stories. That in real life just makes me think fancy man in lady suit. You're doing awesome today. You got some groupies joining you. Peter Pan's, have fun. On that island with Pinocchio, though, so it's not actually fascinating. The people want realness and not our false protective selves. That's what they all are. They're false protective selves, and they're like a movie. Mean Girls, or Hangover, or any of those gender stereotypes. Just you keep naming it. The man who wants to strangle women and tells his buddies, make sure to have a small woman so she can know you can overpower her. This guy is being interviewed by somebody, and it's a woman. So, anyways, as lovely Patrick Tehan concludes, I became freer from controlling comfort, such as isolating, which kept my world sad and small. And that's another thing that childhood trauma survivors do. And they don't notice it. They just say, I lose people because I'm a mystic. I'm enlightening. I lose people because I'm smart and badass. Okay, if you're losing people all the time, I'm pretty sure you're not really that fun to be around, huh? Unkindness comes from hypervigilant trauma people. I mean, really, again, I'm a 3-year-old. My imagination didn't get broken, so I love to be with people. It's why I'm determined I bring them up, because the reality is I know why I have no breakage and why I love people. So whenever I'm meeting people in general, I have a good time. The ones who don't, their world is sad and small, and they got a Zen master with laundry, but they could all be out of the laundry, but they have those fancy people in suits that tell them not to go to therapy. Anyways, that is a choice, though. The people who found it all to believe in the first years of life, I got bountiful of people who do stuff like that. So the goal, Patrick says, is to consistently have the ability to be spontaneous and attuned with our compass. Do we need to have some fun? Do we need to leave something not serving us? Can we try a new adventure without shame or terror? We can now take the risk of not living in coping, survival, or a false self. So go check him out at Patrick Teahan Official. And see, I only know how to live and love completely vulnerable and free to be me. So I don't know the false self, but I do know false selves, like my facade friend. And that's because the facades don't have open-hearted spontaneity and allow others to be who they are. They want you to be who they want you to know. They dress you up. And so, anyways, non-bilaterally integrated brains, that's what they do. But you don't have to really do much about that part, because either they'll become aware or they won't. And when they don't, like I said, they really just ignore all the signs of their unkindness and their hypervigilance and their mannerisms and how they talk about humanity and just how they feel when they wake up. Sadhguru shared with us something that I want to read. The time is coming in my life, he says, that entertaining spirituality, backache healing spirituality, it'll still be done, but not by me anymore. This is only more and more about those who want to break the cycle and throttle up. So all of those who will be completely bilaterally, vertically integrated, owning your sense of self, are throttling up, because that's your mammalian heritage, and that's you with a restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, regulating. So you are consistently anchored in ventral or wanting it, which is what mindset, mindfulness, and mindsight help. So first things first, though, your earned secure attachment if you don't have it. Virtue is not about practicing morality. The greatest virtue is to be inclusive of all life. You will only be inclusive of all life as you gain self-empowered ego and become a process. Maybe you're a science process, so you just do mindfulness. Maybe you're a spiritual process, so you're also mystic. And in all cases, we know our lovely Christ consciousness, and forgiveness in Stephen Porges. So biologically rude people don't consciously choose. They're living out their 0 to 8-year-old who was a codependent, as all of us, but the ones of us who have the child-centric environment and our bodies were able to navigate and we stayed with integrity. By the time you're an adolescent, that's when you get to choose what you're going to do. If you're going to stand in who you are, or you're going to let others affect you. I said, nope, I'm Maria. I learned within 3 years, I like being me, and then here's where, with determined, all of those first 3 years of life and all those first 8, and really my mother, as she chimed in, everywhere she chimed in, so as a 4-year-old getting rejected by boys while they took my sister around the block, and she said, it's okay. It's because you're different in the sense that you're serious. You want to sit them down and read to them, and they want to play. So you go read since you like reading, and when you grow up, you'll meet people that like to do the things you like to do. And I said, yes. And to this day, that's the case. So empowered, intelligent women and men. We don't do, I'm going to be all by myself. I want to be, no. I got a bunch of people I have a good time. All intelligent. Yes, intelligence. Funny bones. And I love to love. And my baby, he loves to laugh and he loves to learn. And he loves to knock cast stones and he loves to use 2 sides of his brain and the vertical and all that. So with that, let me keep on doing, let's see, did we look at these? I forget. I don't think I got to these ones yet. Okay, we're going to pause with that. I'm going to read to you and then I'll do some tarot after actually. The 5D collective of mystics and people own the sense of self since we choose self-love and integrity by pursuing a life with inner secure, healthy, self-soothing and regulating lifestyle habits and behaviors, or getting earned secure attachment with a good therapist. And then continuing with inner growth mindset, mindfulness, and mindsight skills and practices to lead a healthy adult life and cultivate genuine relationships. Thanks to choosing love and kindness with the authentic self, even when the 3 archetypes of existence visit, those are the destroyer, the sustainer, and the creator, you are able to stand in an own sense of self with integrity and move forward while expanding intelligence and consciousness alike. Consciousness and intelligence is what the 5D mystic spiritual process, awakened and mindfully living and loving person with an inner child, securely attached self, adult brings to their day-to-day life and relationships. And our inner growth mindset, mindfulness, and mindsight skills, practices, and lifestyle choices lead us to, again, own the self in a way that means we don't get lost when unknowns, unexpecteds, unwanteds strike. We also do not take out our emotions on people, but we have healthy, self-soothing patterns of thoughts and behaviors, and then we cultivate the capacity to share as functional child adults with those who also are here. And so we strengthen mental, emotion, ventral, okay, and that physical elasticity, and that's because of learning how to bring down the the mindfulness, mindsight, and mindset. That's why the Zen master doesn't know how to do it. He's using his temporal junction, and he's choosing the wrong words. He says it's laundry. Human suffering is an option for those who choose to begin working with their words to bring in that which will allow their body to know it's safe to explore thoughts and emotions, and then for them to say, yep, I can grow with softness, thoughts and emotions. Wow, lightning! I just found out that my rattle can be one that rattles love and not suffering, that I can be my own tree of life and actively get into that which is the grace and the feeling of wholeness. And that's your empowered, again, feminine, so you become your own mother as you listen to self-love and compassion and say yes to it. Your own father as you wield the left mode and the 2 sides and say, I don't need to be thinking nasty imagination. I'm going to zero it out, allow myself to use that which is a new way of speaking. So carry that future with me, with you and others. And so through that compassion, you allow yourself to have only owned parts. Okay, but you can handle emotions, thoughts. You have a window welcome. You're not a person who gets into dissociation in a way of offline. You now know how to regulate your nervous system. That's when you're going to be bilaterally integrated. Otherwise, you're still not. Now you're star baby. Now you are your eternal child, which means you recognize when those orphan or the family in the head, depends what words, the family in the head, Dr. Daniel Fox gave it to me, but you don't have to call it that. It can be, people will call their own inner nightmares, their own monsters and demons. But the part is you want to make them yours as a person. It's your self parts, our child parts, So treating it Like a story is what distances people from the active depth of the emotional experience that would arise. So I don't have nightmare thoughts, but what I'm trying to say is if I were to, let's say, acknowledge, okay, these nasty thoughts that come to my mind are because I was left alone every day of 0 to 8, whatever it is that you know. So yeah, my scared 6-year-old was terrified. I'm going to use my human name, know that my household left me all alone. This is what the therapists work with, because you're going to be sad and you might even get mad and you might not want to witness or see those parents and those siblings and whatever it is. That's why Patrick Tiahan has a group, and you don't have to forgive. Okay, so a mentor supports those of you who are ready to do mindfulness, mindset. And the content here is great, but the responsible person knows that they own their emotional body, like Peter Levine talks about. So you don't confuse yoga with it bringing demons. No, your muscles and bones and tissues store trauma, as Peter Levine, somatic experiences, explains. So Anima Mundi is where I get to be the one to share God, Source, Holy Spirit, spiritual gifts, clairs, sciences, brain science people. It's all the same, meaning it shares your inner and outer well-being at this moment in time is very much being confirmed. Integration of the brain. And if there's challenges, those therapists that I learned from all have answers, which is you keep moving forward and you patiently continue, because integration doesn't have a shortcut. And when in one of my courses with Dr. Daniel Siegel, human being didn't accept that there were no shortcuts, the brilliant man had a way to answer him, but the reality is there's no shortcuts. It takes time. Your brain is an organ. So yes, can we believe in miracles as people that are of spirituality, mystics? Yes. That doesn't mean to ignore the facts. And the facts are that every person who has childhood trauma that has not been taking themselves seriously and has gone and done, whether it be Kundalini Awakening, Reiki, I've seen them. I've seen a bunch of different groups. They're not doing great. Oh, they're still 4D. Their nightmares continue. They're wary of perceiving that which is in a lower frequency continue. They don't feel Pachamama at all. They just have stories for you. So their energetic spectrum is weak, because they haven't expanded one bit, because they've not reclaimed any part of their embodied brain, because they refuse to go and get the one thing done that any person who instead chooses love will do. My health and my inner mental and physical and all. The first stop is you. Otherwise, you don't really care. And so you can only bring to each other love if you are like on that plane putting the mask on, which is why I can be selfish. Yeah, my body's going to think of Maria first. One of the things I told teenagers, nobody is selfless. No, nobody is. Because if you come plug my nose, yeah, you better bet I ain't going to let you plug my nose. I'm going to run the fuck away. And as a kid, those teenagers, they didn't listen to me. There were those that, I'm not playing with you. Oh, come on, stop being, no, the third time is a charm. No, the third time proves to me you didn't listen to me as I'm freaking out and you're having fun and I'm not having fun. I'm scared and you're laughing. That doesn't make me think, oh my God, I should be ashamed. No, you're an asshole. And that's not Lucifer. You're just a dick. So any type of unkindness, again, they're cowards who could use a therapist so that they can stop being assholes to each other. And in the meantime, does the world all have to be inventional? No, let's not allow ourselves to think that everybody has. No, you don't have to be anything. In fact, your health is yours to choose, not mine. That's why the fancy lady in suit, she does a really great job at anyone who doesn't want to get into their restorative Pachamama. Feeling loved, feeling that which is an actual luminous warrior, by the way. So it's not a belief, those of us who are 5D collective mystics and spiritual, all, and I mean, we all use words differently. It's called, we understand what health and well-being. So mindfully and spiritually living and loving as yourself is what those who want to grow inner, outer well-being, and we do here, self-empowerment and confidence. You get to use good stress thanks to your restorative embodiment while unknowns, unexpecteds, uncertainties, and unwanteds in your life and relationships hit, which is also why you do not have a tragedy with any of your twin flame or flames or soulmates. In fact, it's ridiculous, because the only ones who have tragedy with any of love are the ones who are looking forward to getting their golden ring, their emperor, and every single one of them will get some human being who will just do all of it. Oh, my facade friend story, remember? He did all of it as he's also getting cheated. I get a message. Are you happy now? About what? I don't know. What am I happy about? I'm getting cheated on. And it is because I told him, look, you shouldn't be dating right now. It's not the time. So instead of saying, you are right, I'm sorry, can we talk about this? Something that was actually like, I'm such a fool, Maria. I know you love me as a friend. No, I don't get that. I get that instead, which he's not the only one. So as he's writing me, and since I'm a straight shooter, I'm like, I'm not happy. You should know that about me. We've known each other since we were kids. So, no, not happy. Also, none of my business because we're not on talking basis, as you know. And I'm at a funeral. So, please, thank you so much for informing me of your sad story. No, I don't remember exactly, but I left it alone. I didn't block him. Lo and behold, when people block each other for no other reason except for they don't know how to talk. Oh, I'm sorry. And they weaponize all the psych education. You're this, you're that. I'm going to block him. Wow, that's impressive. No, it's not. Not at all. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Remember, for practical video exercises that will roll out throughout the year and provide you with inner growth mindset, mindfulness, and mindset practices and skills to use so that you can grow confidence and handle change with good stress anchored in ventral, please subscribe to the paid fan base channel. It's on our community page. You can also do our podcasts on Spotify. We have a subscription-based model content there. So if you prefer podcasts from Spotify, then you can become a paid subscriber. I'm going to try and organize some pages for us. Okay, and that's one. And then before I let you go on this note of owning your sense of self with the inner growth mindset, mindfulness, and mindsight skills, where are you? I wrote something that I want you to just know. Choosing to become your own beloved and to know what true love feels like, and to stop suffering that which was never meant to be a part of your life, relationships, or embodiment is the gift you give yourself when you go and get earned secure attachment. I don't need it. I have my inner child. She's right here. But then you give the gift to us to share what is an actual human being versus a fake one who consistently acts like a buffoon, which, by the way, again, my facade friend, I love him to death. I love all my friends. I love all people. But now that I know what I've been knowing since as a kid, you're a coward if you don't go get healed. That's it. And your unkindness is nothing more than a representation of the unfortunate childhood you had. And that's for all people, with personality disorders or not. So I'm not going to look at somebody and say, let me look down. No, I don't look down at you. That's disrespectful. I have integrity. I have actual virtue. And I have an actual confident ego, which says, yeah, I'm flawed and imperfect, but I have been determined. So I can say I'm lucky, because you know how many people get pissed that a person can be at ease in a way of being an innocent child without thinking that it's stupid. It makes me sad for every single one of the hearts out there that don't go and get healed, because in the meantime, I know why I get to continue being chirpy, and I will bring God, Jesus, Holy Spirit into the mix besides my family. But if I don't have the opportunity, it's okay, because Robert Sapolsky, I haven't read it yet, but that totally matches up to a T. I know myself like the back of my hand, and whenever I find out something new, it's my body that tells me, not the external. But of course, it's thanks to interacting with the external. In fact, even with my mind, were there not the external, it would not be fun, would it? So choosing a whole self, I got one. When you have a whole self, you'll notice the difference between when you were a pause self, if you had one, because you're going to feel empowered in your body, and also because people can't be bullying you because you're not hypervigilant anymore. You actively are not able to be bullied. You're actively not able to feel that you are lower. You're going to feel empowered to be you. And then you have that which is called, I look forward to you, if you ever do achieve empowerment, feeling that way for you, not for me. And that's called equanimity, and it's also called being a person who can live a life of meaning and connection beyond the soul self, because you're not afraid to be different. Like my facade friend who was opening up to Claire's, and he says, but Maria, I don't want to be any more different than I already am. And I know my facade's friend weakness, his Achilles heel. I also know that he has fear of abandonment, rejection, like any other facade who doesn't understand that that's your child part, which is why your teenager rules you. In the meantime, my friend's looking at me. I'm a mystic. I'm cool with my mystic stuff because I'm not afraid. I got God. I already know that there's nothing to be afraid of. There's no dark energy, light energy in a way of good or bad. Because again, though, I come with Holy Spirit. I then got Claire's. And now I know their spiritual gifts, which is matching with the Holy Spirit. So really, it's all one and the same. But my point is, I don't look at it with the stories of the esoteric people and, all of that. I don't need all of the stories. I definitely come in contact with, the different groups. But the way that the 4D does it, I just recently saw one as they told their community, I love that you come and consume my content. But FYI, everything that goes behind what I'm doing, is because I can have you access a higher dimension with all of that, which I put all the work in. Now, I'm a content creator. I mean, again, I know the work it takes, but the fact that you're getting on screen and then you're allowing yourself to say, I'm the reason why you can get into a higher frequency, that's your 4D. Show yourself. I'm dying to meet you. Elsa Journey, and these are all women, by the way. The men are just I don't have the men mystics. The women, which makes me think of the squirrel from Cusco land. And as a woman, and I'm watching them with their little venomous tooths as they dominate, and then the men who go and anybody again, I'm just like distorted feminine capturing all those masculines. Well, I'm not going to sit and watch, meaning that I'm not going to hang out. When I see it, I have to turn around. It's quite. But 7 of 14 charming. They pull the wool? No, they don't. All insecurely attached human being, men and women, will want to be reassured by someone, and they like control. No. They want to be controlled by somebody else because they're afraid to live life on their own terms because good boy, good girl, did you do a good job? Good job. And they don't realize just how insulting it looks from a whole inner child to see this happening again and again and again. And then they defend and protect. Let me bring on in my friend as he sends me a message again with, are you happy now? And then years down the line, can we see the only reason he wrote me is because he knows I'm a true friend. Guess what happened? Oh, look, you booked wedding with all your money. Now you're bankrupt in the shithole, which, by the way, you would have gotten dumped anyways. You got ghosted and a bunch of other crap happened to you. And still, years later, I get to, again, find out that everything we talked about was meaningless. So the facades, that's all you get. You get meaningless because a person who's real and authentic isn't sharing time with you without actively thinking of your best interests. That's the whole part. Or it's just so disappointing when you meet human beings who don't know how to become a virtue of integrity. Thank goodness for the good therapist. Anybody who wants it can have it. You don't have to do it, by the way. You can keep following assholes all you want. Not you necessarily, but everybody else. I mean, there's so many. There's so many. Oh, and no, I'm not laughing because it's funny. It's because I'm an empowered feminine and I eat ego for breakfast. And those egos, like this person who's, I love that you come watch my content, as she's basically telling them to put up with her subliminal, whatever it is. I'm like, wow. And you are the same person who doesn't realize why you're 4D. All the 4D ones, they will be talking to about 5D. And you'll notice if they're 4D because they have a story for you of there's chosen ones. And that's really where, no. So whether you want to use God, source, universe, again, for spirituality community, we're all chosen. And we're going to have, at the very bare minimum, I'm going to share two groups. We're going to have the group that gets to live our mammalian heritage because we're okay with it. You know, you kind of do that Sid Manny Diego thing. And then we're going to have people who are really just going to be facades. And it doesn't change much because just go watch the movies. So for us, we choose a whole self with secure attachment. And the ones who do it with therapy, they also come around, and then we continue expanding together spiritually and mindfully alongside other healthy, self-soothing, regulating mystics and mindfully self-aware, accountable, and compassionate people, because that's what we got to learn as we became people who got to say, you are not going to affect my sense of self or who I am or what I bring. I have integrity, so I won't be ashamed of me loving unconditionally and being able to be my true self. The other hand, I won't be ashamed of you coming at me with any of your mannerisms either. I'll feel very sad for you, not for me, because again, you're not affecting my nervous system. I don't need your nervous system to self-regulate. I'm a healthy, self-regulating human being who knows all about me being my own medicine wheel like you are, because I'm my own authority like you can be, because I'm on my own vision quest. Maria, I get to own, witness, let's observe, witness, narrate my sense of self as the hunter and the flow. So the empowered feminines, they don't get lost, and they don't think that they're the ones that need to be somebody else's medicine. In fact, actually, that's a savior complex. You're going to notice the spiritual ego as they think that they're the only earth keepers, and they in fact, oh, you need to be vegan, oh, you have to be that, oh, you have to be that. Anytime you got any of that going on, they're not a crow that sounds out the universal law, the universal truths, which is where it's all inclusive. No, they're half over here, half over there, and they have the crow's voice for those who don't want to gain, again, the complete empowered feminine and choose that many paths, okay? We remember suffering, pain, bliss, awe, I believe, I forget, but no matter what path you come from, you will have finally chosen. My mind is where I find beauty. My imagination is what I use. The sorcerer, I can navigate my subconscious, unconscious. The time master, I can sit in myself thanks to being at ease with my own wind, which are those thoughts, which are those emotions, as the person who sees all of this and beyond with a bigger picture. And then, like the hummingbird, you can travel distances because now you know the corn and the abundance that you are by being your true self. And that being a human doesn't mean you sacrifice, and nobody sacrificed anything. Some of us, we are seen, some are not, but the ancient ones come with us, and that's what we carry in our different way here at the 5D Collective. So on Earth, we get to bring Dharma. The ones who want to do karma, they're not going to do anything except for use their lack of beautiful imagination. So they don't use their left and right together. We do. And like the coyote, that's why we grow more intelligent, and we actually grow more mystical shamans, gatherers, hunters, no, the journeyers. I'm just sharing whatever you're attracted to, keep it in mind, but you get to sit here. Okay, so you are able to be mindfully and spiritually living and loving as yourself. In the sweat lodge you go, as that holy mountain approaches, and the emotions, they're not scary anymore. See, all your emotions, they are the magic that you have, but it's only once you access your emotional body that you embody that which is your human body, and that you ground yourself in our lovely earth. Once again, the arrow, straight shooters, wild thing, no. So a wild woman has compassion in her heart, and that's for all creatures and for all of humanity, as they use the wind to sound the drum of the beautiful rainbow that it is. When the rainmaker and the fire get together and the smoky mirror, so you break that illusion, and then, here's that lovely spiral when you're opened up to infinite higher human consciousness potential. And it's amazing, the upper world. So when you have integration of the brain, and you can soar like an eagle to the sky and tap into that heart of the sky. Remember, I read that to you. So when you have the capacity to think in more ways than one, now you know what it's like to be a person who has a good time with your emotions, with people. You don't think of the council as just one group. Again, all our ancestors come together, all of those religions, everything. We don't consider it bad form to bring all of it together. The serpents, while there are still those who use Adam and Eve, right? They use that serpent that way. We won't be liked by those who still bring stigma, ancient stuff. But that's their thing. They're not teachable. They haven't closed the door to yesterday. They haven't chosen to bring their own empowered feminine. And they haven't chosen the contract that those of us who instead know. Again, science. I'm spiritual, but science shares with us how to stay grounded. And so that is, when you know anything that you can think and feel is subjective, and that we come together. We have our laws that keep our countries, then we have our politics. I mean, it's really straightforward. Humanly speaking, though, and that's what I get to bring here, again, we are the herald of change as we dive deep into allowing ourselves to support those who want to heal completely from any toxic, unnecessary, non-bilateral integrated brains. So my facade friend, he's doing great. The magic of the sword is that 3D, 4D, they will continue to be. We won't be needing to do much, because whether they accept to have a beginner's mind like I'm talking to you about, and that's with curiosity, so you use your imagination in a healthy way, and you use your words and or they choose to stay with non-bilateral integrated brains, our lives, even yesterday, continued. This is why the 5D collective of mystics and mindfully living and loving people that know sciences, spirituality, not the past self people, the smart. Okay, stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable. That's who's going to come on over here. It says, I may be woo-woo, and this is where I'm not linear, but nor are you. You're still here because we're really just hanging out right now, aren't we? That's what we do because we enjoy hanging out. That's my point. So nobody's like, the truth is only X, Y, Z, D, E, F, G. If we need to spell out the truth is that I do need air, you do need water, and we do need food. The truth is that we have governments that don't get along. The truth is that as a society, the reason we have all this unkind business is because of, for sure, in the streets, trauma. As for the rest, that's on a bigger scale. But the minute that we can have more people being what is an actual luminous warrior, which is not a warrior, we don't do this. No. We allow ourselves to remember how to be leaders, like Sadhguru shared. Becoming or being a leader does not mean dominating the situation. It means empowering people to do what they would not have imagined possible. So, one, it starts with our communities. Then it starts with whatever jobs you do, continues that way. And again, I'm here for one-to-one, meaning be yourself. I don't do the politics. I chose not to get a career in that on purpose, especially because if there's one disappointment besides the masculines and stupid egos that are paused and distorted feminines, I mean, really, it's those human beings. When I was able to realize that everything they taught me as a kid growing up was bullshit, I was just like, you don't deserve to use the word leader. Nobody does. That doesn't support all humanity to be internally a securely attached human being. And while there's the 4D, 3D who want to believe in all of that, they're trying to control your brain. I don't know, I've seen the people who think they're smart, how they wield their brain and consistently ignore that they're non-bilaterally integrated. No. So, I mean, the reality is, anytime I'm with a paused something, I'm like, okay, there's rigidity. Here comes, In the meantime, though, I don't really do any of this. But I can tell once I'm done with an interaction that you decided to bring me where you wanted to, because that's what Hansel and Gretel will do. And that's what control does. So a person who's afraid to be authentic, they're afraid of themselves because they don't know themselves yet. A person who's not afraid to be goofy, stupid, or herself, you're just going to have a chit chat. You're going to have a good time. By the time you're done, you're like, oh, look, well, that came out of, cool, okay, we're done. And that's awesome. That's something new for me to keep in mind. And you have a good time. So I look forward to seeing you again. And we're going to have another episode for there's some lovely love is in the air. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba. But owning the sense of self is really straightforward for those of us who own our inner child. And it's an inner child adult, so please do remember, we like to share our authentic selves, and we do apologize if people don't like us. And we'll say, I'm going to go because, I think we're not on the same page. Thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure. See you later, alligator, if they let you. Sometimes they don't let you. And that's okay too, because, again, physical safety is the only number one thing that any human being who's empowered at this point will be like, yep, that's all I want, because thoughts and emotions are real easy. So when you say, I'm going to choose enough to be celebrity, you're like, oh shit, I got to hang out with that dude right now. Damn it. And then when people say, you could be more flexible, no, thanks, but I won't. But you do you, I do me. So we'll be back with more. Have a good one.